1 week season.
Hey, and welcome in, OWS fam. So glad you guys are with us. We are back in the DFS lab. As always, this show presented by 1 week season, where we build a DraftKings lineup and use it as a way to talk through the upcoming slate. Of course, we're looking at the wild card weekend slate. Just because the regular season is over doesn't mean the opportunity no longer exists to hopefully take something down. I am your host, Cheeseman, and I am joined now by Hilow. And Hilow, how week 18, I don't know how it finished for you, but I know that your analysis was on point with things like double stacking those pay up running backs with Bijan and Taylor. I mean, I'm sure if not for the very frustrating injuries, man, to the 49ers and the ejection of Juwan Jennings, I mean, I'm sure that you had to have been in position with some lineups that would have been very much, maybe some sweats. But, man, that 49ers situation was so frustrating, man. But you had some great calls in week 18.
Yeah, dude, I doubled my money this past weekend with running 100% Brock Purdy triples. So it was an interesting
Wait,
slate.
you mean Dobbs?
Yeah, Dobbs. Sorry, not Brock Purdy. Dobbs. Yes.
Yeah,
Josh Dobbs with Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings, and then I added Isaac Guerendo to it. So like Guerendo gets hurt in the second play of the game, and then Juwan Jennings gets thrown out. And like, okay, that was fun.
Yeah, what could have been, dude? Seriously, I didn't double, but I was in a similar position where it just was like, man, Dobbs is going off. I just wish those touchdowns or whatever were going to, the guys I had played.
Yeah, it was a very interesting slate. Like there was one player you needed, and you weren't winning anything without him. It was Drake London. And on Sunday morning, when the news came out that Darnell Mooney was out, I was like at the park with my kids. So I thought about it. I was like trying to keep track of 5 kids running around.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I was like, dude, this is probably like the entire offense in a must-win game is going to go through Bijan and Drake London. So I should probably make it happen. And I didn't. The pivot for me would have been down from Broncos defense because I was not coming down from Brian Thomas Jr. I just wouldn't have gotten there. I wouldn't have gotten from Brian Thomas Jr. to Drake London, but I could have gotten from Isaac Guerendo up to Drake London, which was, I think, $600 price difference, which would have meant I would have come down from Broncos D to somebody. So I was kicking myself for not making that, but I wasn't going to ship because like I was all in on Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. I've been in that spot before where I have kids like kind of competing for my attention and news breaks, and I'm like, I've never been able to optimally make the change. But okay, dude, let's jump into DraftKings here. This is playoffs are fun. Do you take any different approach? And obviously not in terms of kind of like how you consider how to play, optimal theory, game theory, that kind of stuff, but just like, do you view kind of the teams in the playoffs differently than you would in the regular season?
No, I don't think so. The thing about the playoffs is all of these teams are good to great at almost everything. Like all of the playoff teams are in the top half of the league in offense. All of the playoff teams are in the top half of the league in defense. This is all strength on strength matchup. So when we talk about like a strength on strength matchup, similar to a weakness on weakness matchup, it just brings a really wide range of outcomes. It extends the range of outcomes on either side. We will probably see a game or two this weekend play to like a 17-10 game. Like it's well within the range of outcomes. We will also probably see a game kind of wreck the slate. And it might not just be the one that everyone is paying attention to in that Tampa Bay game. So the wide range of outcomes, I think, just brings more variance. And I think that the field is going to try, based on like tendencies this season, the field is going to be more comfy sticking towards median. So we're probably going to see projections again rule the kingdom here. We're going to see people playing a little bit more safe this weekend, I think. And I think that just gives us a little bit more edge to embrace a little bit more variance, identify some spots where it could turn into, like, for example, this Buffalo Bills and Broncos game is probably the game that I would dub as the highest chance to develop into like something that you had to have this weekend outside of like the Vikings and the Rams. Like we know that there's probably points going to be scored there outside of Tampa Bay and Washington, we kind of know that points are likely to be scored there. But this Broncos team, man, their last 7 games, they averaged over 32 points per game. Wow. So that's a pretty significant, that's half of the season almost, where they averaged over 32 points per game. So that would put them in the top 3 in the league this season, up there with the Bills and the Lions. So this spot, like when I'm looking at this and I see like Josh Allen not going to be owned a ton, that immediately jumps off the page to me, because like the Broncos could force him into being Super Josh here. It gets really difficult beyond just saying like, I want to play Josh Allen, because the Broncos are running 5 wide receivers behind Cortland Sutton. The Bills are running 5 wide receivers. It's a very like unconcentrated, both of these offenses. So like the Broncos are running 5 wide receivers and 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends on a standard week. The Bills are doing the same thing, 5 wide receivers and 2 tight ends. So it becomes, then you look at the Broncos backfield and it's like, it's a 3-way split now. Jaleel McLaughlin is the lead rusher. We have Javonte Williams coming in to be like the clear passing situation guy. And then Audric Estime is the change of pace guy. So it gets really difficult to figure out where to go beyond just saying like, I want to play Josh Allen. But I think embracing that variance this weekend and kind of leaning into a game environment like that, where this could be like a lot closer than a 9-point spread, which Vegas currently has it projected as. So spots like that. The other, like the most macro aspect of this slate that is the most interesting to me is like, this is a 6-game slate, but all the games are played in sequence. None of the games are played at the same time. So we get more information with each. It's like a Thanksgiving slate, like a times 2, like a double Thanksgiving slate.
Yeah.
So we can assess with each passing game how far off we think we are from optimal, because we know we're not going to need optimal to win this slate. We know, like based on our theory discussions this entire season, the smaller the slate is, the closer to optimal we need to be, knowing this is a 6-game slate and not an 11, 13, 14 game slate. And not a 2 or a 3-game slate. It's kind of right there in the middle of how far off from optimal we need to be, but we can still gauge with each passing game. We get more information where we can reassess like, hey, how close to optimal? Like from this first game, the Chargers and the Texans, like, did Nico Collins go off? That's probably question number 1. He's probably going to garner some significant ownership. He's a very interesting case to me, because this Texans offense has not been good to end the season. They are like, it's like the Steelers. They're on the wrong path entering the postseason, right? But they played their starters on 1 series in week 18. To me, that was, let's go prove that we still got it. Like, let's go prove that we can still function as an offense. They marched the field on their opening possession. They scored a touchdown. And CJ Stroud attempted 6 passes. 5 of them were directed at Nico Collins. So to me, that's like, when we're heading into the postseason, Stephon Diggs is out, Tank Dell is out. We have to win. This is win or go home, do or die. To me, it's like they're going to be peppering Nico here, dude. And the Chargers have given up some significant production to opposing wide receiver ones this season. So like 180-2 is well within Nico Collins' range of outcomes here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like right off the bat, it's like question number 1, if I'm reassessing on Saturday afternoon, it's like, did Nico Collins go off? Did I have him on my roster? Did Ladd McConkey go off? Did Quentin Johnston go off? Did J.K. Dobbins go off? So we can reassess as the games are played and see like how close to optimal we think we are. And I think that discussion starts with Nico Collins on the slate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you mentioned just kind of like a 6-game slate. It's not like that 2-game slate where, like you've pointed out before, like you really need to be pretty close to optimal to win. Whereas a 14-game slate, you absolutely do not have to have the optimal. But for this, like you said, like people are going to probably favor projections. I don't know. People are going to try to be kind of spread out. I know for me, whenever I play a 6-game slate, like in the playoffs, I always am like, man, I want to try and get pieces of everything, or I feel like something's going to go off that I'm going to miss. And so you start to like play kind of with that fear-based mindset. But
Yeah.
given that you do need to be a little closer to optimal in the 6 gamer, you kind of do have to take some stances.
Yeah, and I think that's a psychological roadblock that a lot of people struggle to get over. And something that I learned probably 3 or 4 years ago is it's not about the players that are not on your roster. It is only about the players that are.
That's good.
That seems simple and that seems intuitive, but it's still it goes against like our innate human nature, where we do have that fear of missing out. Like the what ifs play a massive portion or a massive role in like human psychology and crowd psychology and how the interaction of people. So this getting beyond the what if and just saying like, I'm going to build rosters as if I'm 100% right. And it doesn't matter what else happens beyond that. Because like the goal is to win. And if you don't win a GPP, you effectively lose. So it's like, if you ain't first, you're last kind of thing. So we don't play GPPs to double our money. Like there are formats for that. We can do that elsewhere. We play GPPs to win. So this like having the slate set up the way it is to where we get more information. We have like 5 additional decision points that are added to the slate beyond like our norm, where we can reassess. We gain more information. We look at ownership percentages. Like if Nico Collins goes for 20 points and he's 30% owned, just throwing random numbers out there.
Yeah.
If he goes for 20 points and he's 30% owned, he's not going to be anywhere near optimal on this slate. Like it's highly likely that Puka Nacua is going to outscore him. It's highly likely that Justin Jefferson is going to outscore him. So being able to take that new information and bounce it off of how we view optimal setting up is going to be huge on this slate.
Absolutely, dude. So where do you want to start with this build? Like, do you want to look at I mean, I know you talked about Denver Buffalo, which I also agree. I think that game is a really just has some really exciting potential. I mean, do you want to look at do you want to play Josh Allen here, or where do you want to start?
Let's throw a Josh Allen roster in just for shits and gigs to see what we can do here.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Allen is currently projected to be, where's his ownership? Like 10 to 15%, somewhere in there. So he's not going to go unowned, but he's not. There's really no like chalk quarterback on the slate.
Yeah, and like you said, just if you are able to unlock the, like you like to say, Superman Josh, and he goes for 40 plus, it's hard to like that. The raw points is very valuable, and there's not that many quarterbacks on this slate that can put up like 40 plus at the quarterback position.
Yeah, 100%. So like we're effectively saying that like this game environment is going to turn into something that becomes like a 42 to 35 game, something insane, which we know, like based on recent history, the Broncos can do. Like it's within their range of outcomes. So we'll go Josh Allen. If we're saying that this game environment does turn into something bonkers, we probably have to have some sort of contribution from the Broncos to get us there, right? So we're not really going to go to the backfield with a 3-way split. We know that like if we look at the Denver Broncos snap rates, it's like Cortland Sutton is playing a near every down role. And then behind that, it's like Lil Jordan Humphrey's there, Devon Vele's there, Troy Franklin is there, Marvin Mims is there. Adam Trotman, Nate Adkins, and Lucas Kroll are all splitting tight end duties. So
dude, Marvin Mims, man, you were huge on him. Like I remember last season, you were like, saw the potential there. Now it seems like he's finally breaking out. But again, of course, you'd love to see a higher snap rate.
Yeah, dude. But the interesting thing about Marvin Mims is Sean Payton is using him not just as like a slot wide receiver or an X, a Y, or Z. Like he doesn't have a label, which I think is part of the reason why he's been able to break out. Like he doesn't have the frame to be like an X type wide receiver. He doesn't have necessarily, he's fast as hell. So he could like fit into that Z type role. But then you're getting this like extreme boom or bust. And that's what we saw last year. Like they were just using him as the Z-type wide receiver. He was all downfield stuff. It was go run fast and do your thing. We saw like one blow-up game and nothing the rest of the season. They didn't have a quarterback that could deliver the football down the field. So this year, they're playing him in the backfield. They're playing him in motion. They're playing him in the slot. They're moving him around the formation, getting him these designed targets to get the ball in his hand and then leverage his upside. So that's kind of the backstory of Marvin Mims. But yeah, like I don't think it's fluky, man. Like I've been on Marvin Mims a lot, and he's the guy that I would enter into this roster as a nod to the game environment from the Broncos because he can do so much with lower volume. Again, we're just embracing a little bit additional variance here. We're saying this game turns into something that like you kind of had to have Josh Allen or you weren't winning anything. So we'll go there. We'll go Josh Allen with Marvin Mims. And now the question becomes like, do we need another Bill? And it's an interesting discussion because we look at like the last time the Bills had a fully healthy complement of pass catchers was in week 15. So they had Matt Collins, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Amari Cooper, and Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. That was week 15 was the last time they had all 7 of those guys. In that game, we saw 50% snap rate from Matt Collins, 63% from Keon Coleman, 59% from Khalil Shakir, 27% for Curtis Samuel, who got hurt in that game, 46% for Amari Cooper. The tight ends, Dawson Knox played 73% of the snaps. Dalton Kincaid, his first game back from 3 missed games, played 49% of the offensive snaps. So again, this is a situation where like we kind of need a dude who can do some heavy lifting on less than optimal volume. So to me, that is Khalil Shakir. So we could let's add him because he's helps offset the cost of Josh Allen a little bit. And now like this roster, there's probably not going to be very many rosters in play this weekend that have this as their core. So we're not playing Amari Cooper. We're not playing any of the Buffalo tight ends. We're not playing Cortland Sutton. So the Josh Allen rosters that are in play this weekend, of that 10 to 15%, probably going to be heavily tied to Cortland Sutton. So this is a way to like we don't really have to worry about anything else on the rest of this roster.
I always love those kind of situations. Yeah, you can just kind of you can play chalk if you want from here because this combination makes you unique.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 5,200 left. Do you want to look at running back?
Yes, I do.
Curious of your thoughts.
There's 2 running backs, maybe 2.5, depending on our stance on Bucky Irving this week, who I really like, but we'll talk about that in a minute. There's probably 2.5 running backs who can destroy this slate. It's Saquon Barkley, it's Derrick Henry, and then maybe Bucky Irving. Bucky's an interesting case because like we talked about it the past 2 weeks where it's like, or the past week, I guess, because Rachaad White almost fumbled the Buccaneers season away in week 17.
Yeah.
It was a second straight game where he lost a fumble. And then in week 18 in a must-win game, we saw Bucky Irving play his highest snap rate of the season, 72%. So again, this idea of like, how are teams going to view like the must-win spot? They're probably done fucking around with guys who are fumbling all the time, like Rachaad White. So I think Bucky Irving probably is in that discussion at least of like running backs who can destroy the slate. But I think it starts with Saquon Barkley here, man. It has to. Smaller slate, probably fewer opportunities for 30 plus fantasy point scores to be put up. And I think Saquon Barkley is firmly in that discussion. Derrick Henry's in that discussion. Justin Jefferson, obviously, potentially Mike Evans. I have my doubts on that, but I much prefer like clicking Nico Collins over Mike Evans just in a vacuum. Nico Collins is in that discussion. Puka Nacua is in that discussion. And then it gets pretty thin pretty fast. AJ Brown probably needs a 90% outcome to hit 30 fantasy points this week against a good Packers secondary. Ladd McConkey probably needs a 95% outcome to hit 30 fantasy points. And it's like, who else?
He's not cheap anymore either. Yeah, McConkey's
really
not cheap anymore.
Nobody else. Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm viewing this slate. We also have to kind of consider like we've gone to Saquon Barkley. We've paid up at quarterback. We probably can't get to Puka Nacua. So in one of the highest game totals of the slate, are we saying that the Rams just completely fail here? Or more preferably, does Cooper Kupp like score twice? So let's throw Cooper Kupp in this roster.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, especially because Puka had a pretty good game. I think that was his first game back when they played the Vikings on Thursday night or something. He had a huge game, kind of like had 100 yards in the first half. So maybe Minnesota tries to scheme him away and Cooper Kupp benefits perhaps. But I like the leverage there because you're not saying I'm not going to play Puka, therefore I'm guessing the Rams score 10 points. Like you're saying, since I don't have Puka, hopefully someone else is getting those points and I'm directly benefiting.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, we played out the slate 100 times, it would probably be like Puka Nacua would be one of the top fantasy performers on this slate. Maybe, I don't know, 40% of the time. He would probably be the highest fantasy scorer on his team, maybe 70% of the time. So it's not like we're saying like Puka Nacua is a bad play. Like he's one of the top plays on a paper on the slate. But if like the Vikings are blitzing a ton, but Cooper Kupp is still the motion man. If he has the most robust red zone role. So like if the Rams are succeeding playing from behind, like I think it's 25% chance that Cooper Kupp is the highest scorer on the team. And that's just like the ownership discount is massive.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's see. Yeah, 4,100 left. Still can do defense though, so that'll free up a little bit.
We're gonna throw in Bucky Irving. Again, getting access to one of the highest game totals on the slate. And we're just gonna have to crunch, baby. We're just gonna have to crunch.
No, man, I like the double pay up running back obviously paying up for Josh Allen here, but I think it's a great. I love getting up to Josh Allen, and dude, the dude can put up like just nuclear type numbers in the playoffs. So before. Okay, so defense. Who do you want at defense?
Well, I'm looking at tight end real quick.
Okay,
another team. I think we should have a pretty good idea of how they're going to attack this spot, the Baltimore Ravens. With Zay Flowers out, we're probably going to get a more concentrated offense, but we're also probably going to get borderline extreme rates of 12 personnel. So that means that Mark Andrews is going to be on the field. We know his red zone role, but like to save some money here, like Isaiah Likely there at 3,200, he's probably going to be on the field a ton. And we're effectively just saying like, score me a touchdown, big dog.
Seriously.
That's it.
Yep. No, I absolutely agree with the higher rates of 12 personnel there. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, let's go to defense and see what we can stomach here.
Yeah. I mean, Texans are at home. At least they're not a bad defense.
Is Jair Alexander back yet?
Who you got?
He had a weird week of practice last week where he was full, limited, out. He didn't participate Wednesday, Thursday. He didn't participate either. Wait, did he? Where the fuck is he?
Wait, I'm seeing.
Oh no, he's off the injury report.
What?
I don't see him.
Why am I seeing? No, I'm seeing. On January 1st, Matt LaFleur said that Jair Alexander will undergo surgery.
Oh, is he done?
Yeah,
this
is the official NFL Twitter. So yeah, he's out.
Okay, I missed that completely.
I mean, Packers can't. I mean, Jair Alexander, Christian Watson, dude, they cannot keep these guys healthy.
Yeah. Okay, well that's why he's not on the injury report because he's on IR. Cool.
Let's see.
Yeah, dude. I mean, let's put in the Packers and see what happens. We're 3,700 with that.
600. So that gives 37. down below the wall of the 4Ks. I mean, Tucker at double tight end, but Tucker Kraft he definitely has upside.
Yeah.
And down here, let's see, anyone else? Dalton Schultz. I mean, what about the Baltimore receivers? Is there any I mean, they're going to run so much 12 personnel. You think probably not going to be outside of Bateman anyone that's super viable in terms of snap shares?
Well, Tylan Wallace is probably going to be on the field a ton, but like he was on the field at like 70 something. Let me find exactly 73% in week 18, but he saw like one target.
Yeah, and then Nelson Agholor, he's never been good. Yeah.
Well, Nelson Agholor, he's back. He's back from injury. Yeah, let's pop in Nelson Agholor actually.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the field, probably take that Tylan Wallace snap share.
All right, dude.
So we have 300 left to play with. Let's
at defense
potentially.
Oh, how many picks did Sam Darnold throw last week? I feel like Sam Darnold is like, when the lights shine the brightest, maybe he's going to make some mistakes. But I don't know if the Rams are very good. I'm just looking at the Rams defense. I know you also love the Vikings defense, but we're just 100 short at their defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rams are, they put up some decent games.
Yeah, we can't really mess with running back, quarterback, wide receiver. The only thing we could do is go down from Cup, but I don't really want to.
Yeah, it's kind of like
let's do this. Let's do this. We're going to remove Khalil Shakir and just go Josh Allen naked, put in Rashad Bateman, get rid of Nelson Agholor.
Okay, that gives 4K left.
What does that do for us? Anything?
Let's see.
Calvin Austin. Let's do that.
Okay, boom.
Yep, let's do that.
There we go, dude. Final lineup for those of you listening on the podcast. Josh Allen naked with Marvin Mims Jr. as the bringback, but you got Saquon, Bucky, Irving, Rashad Bateman, Cooper Kupp, Isaiah Likely, Calvin Austin, and the Packers D. Hilow, great stuff, man. As always, I'm pumped about this build, and I love the Josh Allen angle. Feel like this is a solid build, considering you get Allen and Barkley on the lineup. Any final thoughts, dude, before we ship this one out?
No, I don't think so. Stay flexible this weekend, though.
Yeah, that's right.
That information.
You're taking information. Awesome, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in, watching, listening here at the DFS Lab. Great luck here for Wild Card Weekend, and we will catch you next time. Hilow, appreciate the time, brother.
See you, man.